Hello stampers, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have 7 hot foiling tips and tricks to share with you that will help you be better when foiling with your Glimmer hot foil plates. I came across all of these tips by experimenting with my Glimmer hot foil machine from Spellbinders. These tips have been very helpful and useful to me when doing foiling, and I hope they will be of use to you too. If you don't know what hot foiling is, and this is your first time seeing this in action, I encourage you to check out my other video explaining the hot foiling process in detail. I have it linked in the card right here and also in the video description below. When you are doing hot foiling in your Glimmer hot foil machine or another hot foil machine, you can overlap or layer your foil designs without messing up the previous foiled layer. So say you want to hot foil a sentiment that consists of 2 parts. For example, I want to foil Beautiful in black foil, and I also want to foil additional sentiment that reads Happy Birthday in a different color foil and slightly overlap the word Beautiful. I can do that because once I have the foil down on the paper, adding another layer of foil over it is not going to mess it up. I can layer and layer foil on my paper, and by the way, you can foil on many different mediums. Paper is just one of them. I'm foiling just on paper in this video. Think of this foil layering as masking when you do stamping. The only difference, you don't actually have to mask anything. You can foil easily over your existing hot foiled designs. To foil this skinny happy birthday sentiment, I need to make sure I am spot on with my Glimmer plate placement. This is a little bit tricky to do. So this brings me to tip number 2. You can use low-tack tape to secure your Glimmer plates in place when foiling to make sure you foil exactly where you want. Here I made a little hinge with my washi tape, and I'm going to add a strip of foil just big enough to fit under my sentiment strip. To make sure the foil stays in place, I'm adding another small piece of washi tape to tape it to the paper. You can even lightly tape things over foiled areas, and depending on the type of the sticky tape you're using, or depending on how sticky your tape is, you will have a very little to no foil lift off when you go to peel that tape away. But if you are worried you're going to mess up your previously foiled design, just tape it so that it doesn't overlap any foil underneath. You can use a bigger piece of foil here to cover up previously foiled designs so that your tape doesn't touch it and only adheres to the paper where there is no foiling at all. I have foiled several different panels using this gorgeous birthday Glimmer hot foil plate. It comes from the Hey Beautiful Glimmer plate set by Paul Antonio for Spellbinders. There are several wonderful plates in this set done in the same gorgeous handwriting. The skinny strip sentiment comes from another Glimmer plate set, one of my most used sets actually. It's the Everyday Sentiments 1. It was the Spellbinders Glimmer Kit of the Month set for February 2019. Unfortunately, that set sold out, but there is a very similar set called Everyday Sentiments 2, which is not a part of the club and is available to everyone in the Spellbinders shop, and you can actually get it elsewhere too. In the same way, I later used low-tack tape to secure the leaves Glimmer plates in place on my card front to make sure I would foil the leaves exactly where I needed them. I first arranged the flowers on my panel the way that I liked. I created floral clusters, and next I added in foiled leaves one by one, or rather 2 at a time, as I do have 2 plates. This set comes with 2 leaves, filling the background in, and I tried to add 2 to 3 leaves next to each flower. Because I was using low-tack tape and taping my plates to the paper, I was sure I would get foiled leaves exactly where I needed them. It's a win-win. Using low-tack tape to secure your Glimmer plates in place, and especially Using that hinge method brings me to tip number 3, double foiling. So again, think of this like stamping. In the stamping world, you would have stamping tools such as MISTI that allow you to double stamp images if you didn't get a good enough impression the first time round. The same can be done with foil. You can double foil your design provided you have secured your glimmer plate in place using low-tack tape. This will allow you to reposition the plate in the exact same spot and foil again without messing up your entire plan. When I refoil or double foil, I like to use a new piece of foil. Here, I just use the other side of my foil strip to avoid having any issues. And problem fixed. I don't need to start over on this card. When you need to foil the same elements multiple times, let's say you either need multiples of the same image for one card, like multiple flowers for example, or you're making multiple cards with the same image. Maybe you're mass-producing wedding invitations, or your holiday cards, or thank you cards, or anything that requires mass production. You can skip waiting for the timer button to heat up the plates for every new piece of paper you plan to foil. This is a huge time saver, as you are cutting about 1 minute out from each foiled piece. 1 minute is how long it takes for the newly placed plates on the Glimmer machine to become hot enough to foil. When you keep your plates on the platform and just keep using them over and over again, they are already hot enough and you can skip waiting for the timer button to stop flashing. Let's say you need to foil a bunch of flowers for your cards. I really wanted to make several floral cards using these gorgeous flower glimmer plates from Spellbinders' June Glimmer Kit of the Month. I used the timer button and waited a couple of times at first for it to stop flashing, meaning to heat up the glimmer plates between the first few foilings. After a couple of foiled runs, 2-3 runs, depending also on the temperature in the room, because that will affect how quickly your glimmer plates will lose the heat, I stopped waiting for the timer button to reheat the plates and just foiled without that step. I did press the timer button, so it did begin the countdown and reheating the plates, but it was on for only long enough for me to complete the sandwich, so I wasn't waiting for a full 1 minute and I wasn't wasting any time. This saved me a lot of time. I think I foiled these flowers close to 30 times, and had I waited each time, I would have spent more than half an hour doing so. Just 30 minutes waiting, and then add additional time to run things through the machine. I didn't wait as my plates were already hot enough to transfer the foil, so all I did was add a new piece of foil, add a new piece of paper, build my sandwich, all while the platform was plugged into the machine and was heating up. But this took me about 10 seconds or maybe even less each time, and I did not wait an additional minute, but took the platform out of the docking station into my die cutting machine right away to foil, and I got amazing results every time. In the same way, of sorts, I did mass die cutting. Because my glimmer plates never changed their placement on the platform, they always foiled in the same place on the paper in relation to the other plates. This allowed me to align the coordinating dies just once and easily cut all of the images out without having to realign the dies every time. Some glimmer plates come with coordinating dies, like this flower set does, and so I used mine to cut the images out. Now you can also use low-tack tape to begin with and tape all of your glimmer plates together when placing them on the platform to make sure the plates will not shift at all. And using low-tack tape will not affect the performance. Some tapes might lose their stickiness or might actually become more sticky due to the heat, so you will just have to experiment with the different kinds of low-tack tapes you use. Let's talk a little bit about multitasking. What do you do when you do have to wait for that 1 minute for the plates to heat up? I like to multitask and prep for the next steps in my card making process. So this can be either cutting foil and paper for the next piece that I want to foil, creating a card base, maybe doing some stamping, or even tidying up my desk. When you multitask while the machine is heating up your plates, you're cutting the production time down to a minimum. Same as with stamps and dies, where you can do selective inking to do selective stamping, and selective or partial die cutting, you can do selective foiling. I wanted to foil Happy Birthday, but I wanted to use these delicate upper script font plates for the first letters of each word. To do this, I used the selective foiling technique. First, I foiled the letter H as usual. I used all of the tips that I shared previously, especially the one with using low tack tape to tape my plate and foil in place on the paper. Next, I used another glimmer plate that reads Happy Birthday. I added a piece of low tack tape to the back of my plate. I cut a piece of foil to cover only the letters A, P, P, Y in the word happy, so skipping the letter H, and tacked it in place using tape. To make sure I had my sentiment perfectly straight on the card, I used a ruler and aligned the thin plate on the paper with its help, affixing it in place using the same piece of low-tack tape, and I also added another piece of washi tape just to be sure. From there, I foiled as usual. Here's what the finished result looks like, a beautiful customized happy. To finish this sentiment, I repeated the same steps as before. I foiled the letter B. Next, cut a small piece of foil to cover the word birthday, skipping the letter B, and used a ruler to adjust the plates in place. Custom sentiment is done. My next tip shows you how to fix your foiling mistakes by foiling over the foiled piece with another color foil, and also how to do offset foiling. I went ahead and foiled a beautiful border. This is Elegant Border Glimmer Plate in Prism foil. I didn't really like the look of the foil or the color of the foil on this paper, so to fix my mistake, I decided to foil this piece once again over the original, but use a different color foil this time, and it worked. I did shift the glimmer plate just a smidge to have a shadow show on the card. To pull this off, I once again used low-tack tape and just taped the border in place. Next, I added my foil. I taped the plate again on the other side and foiled. Here's the result. I think it looks very impressive, and while I wasn't especially happy with this card design, I am looking forward to doing this offset foiling again in the future. Maybe use black foil at first and then cover it with another foil on top. This is rather easy to do and is also a quick fix if you used an incorrect foil color for your project. You can't really do this sort of thing with stamps and inks, but you can with glimmer plates and foil. My final tip for you for today is something I call masked foiling. Just like you do masking and stamping, you can do masking when using foil. This is especially handy when your glimmer plates have coordinating dies. These flowers, as I mentioned earlier, have coordinating dies available, so it was easy to make the masks. All I did was die cut several masks from vellum. I did not use masking paper, something I would typically use when using stamps. Masking paper is tacky, and that tackiness can lift the foil off of your project. Not all of it, of course, but some. Using vellum here is an excellent alternative, and it's also see-through and will allow you to see the foiled image underneath it for perfect placement. If you get a bit of overfoiling, sometimes this happens, just use your pencil eraser and clean it up. I first like to use the regular end, and then if that doesn't help, I use my sanding eraser. Works like a charm every time. Here's a look at the finished cards I made with all of the pieces I foiled in this video. The first few all feature that stunning word beautiful, foiled in black, uncolored, and white cardstock with a sub-sentiment above it, and of course, gorgeous foiled flowers and leaves. I added some white dots using a Sakura white pen, and clear droplets using Nuvo Drops and Morning Dew, and Carnation Pink on the white card. Here's that card with that custom happy birthday. I also foiled flowers. These almost have a tone-on-tone look. Aside from that small pink flower, of course, I went for a split card design, placing my flowers above and below the sentiment, and also added clear drops. And here's that last one layer foiled card that features masking. I hope you will give this idea a try. If you do, please share online and tag me. I always love seeing what you guys are making. On the screen, there is a link to a playlist with all of my Glimmer Hot Foil card tutorials. Subscribe now not to miss any new videos. Love you guys. I'll see you next week.